The role of the West and media in the Jerusalem conflict, unveiling distortions and proposing solutions. In the previous episode, we explored the religious roots of the Jerusalem conflict, comparing the approaches of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, and uncovering truths obscured by mainstream narratives. Today, we delve into the West's role in supporting the occupation, how media distorts the reality of the conflict, and potential solutions to preserve Jerusalem's shared heritage. Let's continue this journey together. The West's role in supporting the occupation. Historical context. From Balfour to today. The modern conflict in Jerusalem was shaped by Western intervention, starting with the 1917 Balfour Declaration, where Britain promised a national home for Jews in Palestine, disregarding the indigenous population. This colonial decision laid the groundwork for the 1948 establishment of Israel, displacing over 700,000 Palestinians in what is known as the Nakba. Western powers, particularly the US and UK, have since provided unwavering support for Israel through 1. Military aid. The US alone provides Israel with over $3.8 billion annually in military assistance, funding advanced weaponry used in operations that often target Palestinian civilians. 2. Political cover. Western vetoes in the UN Security Council, such as the US blocking resolutions condemning illegal settlements, shield Israel from accountability. 3. Economic support. Western investments in Israeli settlements, deemed illegal under international law, fuel the expansion of occupied territories. This support is often justified as defending democracy, but aligns more with strategic interests, such as securing a regional ally and countering Arab influence. The Evangelical Zionist Alliance. A significant factor in Western support is the alliance between Zionist ideology and evangelical Christian movements, particularly in the US. Some evangelical groups believe Israel's dominance in Jerusalem fulfills biblical prophecy, such as the rebuilding of the Third Temple. This theological stance drives political lobbying, with organizations like Christians United for Israel (CUFI) influencing U.S. policy to favor Israel, often at the expense of Palestinian rights. This contradicts the Christian principle of "blessed are the peacemakers." Matthew 5 verse 9. Media distortions, shaping a one-sided narrative. Western media plays a pivotal role in misrepresenting the Jerusalem conflict, perpetuating biases that obscure the occupation's realities. Selective reporting. Media outlets often highlight Palestinian acts of resistance while downplaying Israeli military actions. For instance, a single Israeli casualty receives extensive coverage, while Palestinian deaths, numbering in the thousands, are often reduced to statistics. Terminology manipulation. Palestinians are frequently labeled as militants or terrorists, while Israeli forces are described as defending or responding. This framing ignores the context of occupation and systemic violence. Omission of historical context. The Nakba, the 1967 occupation, and ongoing settlement expansion are rarely mentioned, creating a false impression of a balanced conflict. Suppression of Palestinian voices. Palestinian perspectives, including those of Christians and Muslims in Jerusalem, are marginalized in favor of Israeli narratives, often amplified by well-funded lobbying groups. For example, a 2021 study by the Center for Media Monitoring found that UK media coverage of the conflict was 11 times more likely to sympathize with Israeli perspectives than Palestinian ones. Solutions to save Jerusalem's shared heritage. To address the Jerusalem conflict and preserve its status as a city sacred to Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, the following solutions are proposed. 1. International accountability. Enforce UN Security Council Resolution 242, demanding Israel's withdrawal from occupied territories, including East Jerusalem. Establish an international oversight body to protect Jerusalem's holy sites, ensuring equal access for all faiths, as practiced under historical Islamic governance. 2. Grassroots interfaith dialogue. Encourage Muslims, Christians, and Jews to collaborate on preserving Jerusalem's multi-religious identity, countering extremist narratives like those of the Temple Mount Faithful. Promote initiatives like the Jerusalem Interfaith Forum, which fosters mutual respect and shared stewardship of sacred sites. 3. Media reform. Advocate for balanced reporting by supporting independent media outlets that amplify Palestinian voices and provide historical context. Pressure major networks to adopt neutral terminology and avoid dehumanizing labels. Economic and political pressure. Support the boycott, divestment, sanctions (BDS) movement to hold Israel accountable for violations of international law. Urge Western governments to redirect aid toward humanitarian efforts in Palestine, such as rebuilding schools and hospitals in Gaza and the West Bank. Reviving Islamic principles of justice. Draw on the Quranic call for justice. And do not let the hatred of a people prevent you from being just. Be just, that is nearer to righteousness. Al-Ma'idah 8. This principle can guide a framework for coexistence, ensuring Jerusalem remains a shared spiritual capital. Conclusion. The Jerusalem conflict is not just a regional issue but a global test of justice and humanity. The West's political and economic support for the occupation, coupled with media distortions, has perpetuated a cycle of violence and erasure. By embracing accountability, interfaith cooperation, and equitable media practices, we can work toward a Jerusalem that reflects its historical legacy of tolerance and coexistence. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll explore personal stories from Jerusalem's residents, Muslims, Christians, and Jews, and how the conflict has shaped their lives.